Hey, and welcome to another episode of Back from the Future. Now, today we're going to be talking about the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. Now, I've just gone and seen the movie again. What can I say? It is my favourite movie of all time. And I have to say that seeing it again brought back amazing memories. This movie, and I'm going to say it a few times, this word, is a near perfect movie, as near perfect as you can get. This film was released in 1985, around this time, October, and you know, I would say that the 80s were the heyday of Hollywood. I think they peaked during the 80s, and what more can I say? If you haven't gone and seen this movie, please go and see it. I can't recommend it enough. So going to the cinema to see the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. Now, I've seen it many times on VHS, DVD, whatever, and to be honest, to experience this movie, you've really got to go to the cinema like I did. And you know, it's, if you were born in the 80s or 90s or whatever, I think it doesn't matter about your age. You're gonna, if you're of a certain mindset, or you're gonna connect with this movie, because it has very, how can I say, the way the story is constructed, it's going to connect with you. So let's dive deep into it, a deeper look into it rather. So originally the film would have been shot in 35mm, and now we're seeing it in digital projection, and you know what, it's fine, doesn't take anything away from the movie. What I will say is the storyline of the movie, it's interesting because it plays with the human psyche on a subconscious level. The film is all about consequences. No matter what you do in life, even shooting this video, there's a consequence that will have a ripple effect throughout history. You know, the smallest thing you can do, the conversation you can have, you could speak to somebody, it could spark an idea, or even holding that conversation with them, it can maybe stop them from doing something in the future. Everything is about consequences. And the film teaches us that if you take on certain attributes and values, it betters your chances in life. So, you know, as well as consequences, the other underlying thing about this film it deals with is bullying. And you see George McFly being bullied by Biff Tannen, and Marty helps him overcome his fears and stands up to bullies, and his life changes. I mean, there's a scene towards the end of the movie when Marty's about to go back, and Doc asks him how the interaction with Enchantment Under the Sea, how it all went. And Marty says that he's, you know, stood up to Biff, never ever done that in his life. And Doc has a little moment where he has a thought where he's going, oh my God, what repercussions will this have in the future? And you just see his face, and then he just like shakes it off. Things like that in that movie, you know, just make the movie. You know, and the whole craft of the movie, as I said, you know, it's like the Goonies, Ghostbusters. They're all such in that period, that time period. All the movies of that period were shot with certain lenses and a certain lighting style. You know, very reminiscent of the 80s. And today, the people who make those films, they're not working in the industry. Some of them probably have passed away. So that craft of filmmaking has been lost. Very hard to replicate. Everything now is so clean, so sharp, that it's almost off-putting. It looks like a soap opera. It doesn't look like a movie. even like movies like in the 90s or late 90s to 2000, films like Seven, they can't recreate it, movies like that nowadays. So, you know, it's very, I suppose, nice to see. And I've spoken to kids that who've gone to see this movie, who are like 13, 12, and, you know, having conversations with them, they're saying that movies of today do not look as good as movies back then. So what does that tell you? You know, the movie was like created by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. I mean, like I said, it's, you know, a definitive 80s movie. They did an amazing job. You had the sound, the music by Alan Silvestri, amazing soundtrack to the movie. And what can I say? And even the sound effects, you know, of that movie. Like, if you suddenly, I remember somebody had a mobile phone where they had the sound effects to sound Back to the Future, and it's almost triggering, but a triggering of nostalgia. And what I will say is, it's a movie that if you're a father or a mother and you want to connect with your kids, it's a great movie to take your kids to, because creating a childhood for a child, it's taking them to these experiences where they'll never forget it. That is a movie I think that most people who saw it will never forget it. It is, like I said, a perfect movie. You know, the storyline, the acting, sound production, visual sets. I must say, it's one of those few films that I would say is a 10 out of 10. You know, it was, you know, I think Spielberg produced the movie as well. It's interesting when you compare Back to the Future to, say, Ready Player One. I remember when I saw the trailer of Ready Player One, I was hoping that it would be like in the style of Back to the Future, but it wasn't. It's very sanitized, very clean. And, you know, I think that it didn't have the heart that some of these films in the 80s do. And it's, again, very hard to replicate. You just don't get these films nowadays that give you that emotional connection anymore. And, you know, I named this channel, you know, Back from the Future as opposed to Back to the Future, as my way of, you know, I suppose, my show connecting with that period of time. So, you know, I'm a Back to the Future fan, you know, through and through, and, you know, it's watching that movie just brought back memories, childhood memories, you know. And what can I say? You know, if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you missed it in the cinema, you know, you can always pick it up on Blu-ray. You know, it's one of those films that has to be in your collection if you still collect Blu-rays or DVDs, you know. And, you know, watching it on a streaming service, I don't think the picture quality, because it's over the internet, you know, bandwidth and everything, you don't get as good a quality as if you see it on, say, a Blu-ray. So it's always worth having a hard copy of a movie like that. So what more can I say? You know, 10 out of, one of the few films that I can say that's a 10 out of 10. Go watch it, you'll enjoy it. I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Back from the Future.
If you liked this video, please feel free to subscribe to our channel, press the bell notification button, and get notified when a new video comes out. Please leave a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, please leave comments and let us know what your thoughts and suggestions are for future videos.
And we will see you in the future, if there is one.